thousandaires think in months, millionaires think of years, billionaires think in decades.
Find someone who's ahead of you, go talk to them, see if they could bend time for you.
Oof.
Because we could spend money, we'll get it back, but you can never get back your time.
You have to not necessarily enjoy the journey, but you have to be willing to endure the journey.
Call us Reyes on the humble show. Yeah, we all in, yeah, we all in. So grab your boys now, cause you know we all win. Lift your hands up.
Welcome back to the All In Podcast. I am your host, Carlos Reyes, and right next to me is the most interesting man in the game. He goes by the name of Zady. Actually, the most interesting man in the industry, but nobody knows which industry yet. And to his right, I got my business partner, Mr. Sal Shakir, business partner of over a decade. And to my other left, we got the director of operations, Mr. Born Closer, a.k.a. King Closer, a.k.a. Adrian Salgado.
That's a nice ring too.
Gentlemen, welcome to the show. All right, so, man, we just got back from Vegas, spent a few days out there helping out over 30, real estate business owners, real estate entrepreneurs, right? And it was just very fruitful. It felt like the old days, back when we started Momentum back in 2018.
Yeah, I felt
right?
that vibe
June of
too.
2018, right? And it also felt like I felt like our organization took a turn. We finally turned the corner. We're so dialed in so many aspects of the organization. And we're just, we've optimized and we're just continuing to improve now. I feel like the foundation's great. I feel like we're running lean. We're running very efficiently, but more importantly, we're running very effectively.
Lean and mean, baby.
Lean and mean.
I told this to Zady a while back ago, probably about a month ago. I was like, we used to use the term, oh, we're rebuilding. Right? Like you guys used to say, oh,
when did we start saying that? I know we have said that.
Yeah, we recently just stopped saying it. And I told Zady, I was like, I don't think we're rebuilding anymore. I said, anytime we have some sort of like a cleanse in the organization, or people leave or anything like that, I said, it's just part of the game. It's business, bro. There's not one single business owner that that you can think of that is still has every single employee that they
That's
hire.
crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. And so, people come and people go, and it's unfortunate. You build relationships with people that you think are going to last forever, and you don't build relationships with people that end up being there for the long term. And so for us, it's never just, it's no longer a rebuilding stage. It's part of business. There's going to be people that come in and out. And as long as you start every next level, you're going to get one or two that stick around for a little bit longer and one or two that stick around for a little bit longer. That's how organization's built, man. And it's not fun. It's not easy. It's not pretty. It's stressful as hell.
Well,
right?
well, kudos to you, by the way. Yeah. Kudos to you because, 7 years in running, right? And, I feel like you're part of the Three Musketeers at this very moment. And I feel like you, as challenging as it has been for you and for everyone, I feel like you have been challenged and you have endured and you have learned so much over the past 2 years, right? But that's the whole goal, right? The whole goal is to keep growing, right? If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, and I said it honestly. We'll say two things, right? When I made the decision to never clock out or clock in, I also made the decision to never clock out, right? And some people still come into this organization with that mentality, like it starts at 9 and ends at 5.
That's right.
And I get it; those people are necessary in a sense, but the other thing too is like before I even quit my job to work with you guys, I told myself, I was like, repeatedly, I said, if I can make just what I'm making here and have all the freedom that I desire, I'm okay with that, right?
I think you've made every year much more than you
absolutely.
Every year was significant.
Yeah, absolutely. And then now that's like, with the salary, that's the salary that I have. It's definitely, it's exactly what I wanted, right?
Plus,
and plus more, right? God always gives you more than what you think you want,
but also what you can handle
and what you can handle.
Right. Sal, what's your feedback on where things are, where we're headed after this real estate boot camp?
Man, it feels good. It feels good to be back to the basics and to run like lean and mean is one of my favorite situation of a company. You know, some people try to grow too big and they do great in sales and their operation would fail. And you have vice versa. You have some people that our operation is super dialed in, but they don't have the front end or the marketing or the sales dialed in. I feel like we have the dream team right now, the perfect combination, and we're so nimble right now. It doesn't feel like we have to move a Titanic, even though it's the size of a Titanic, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's a speedboat, but the size of a Titanic. And it's so easy to pivot nowadays. It only took 90 days or so to be able to position our company here, but then this positioning alone feels like the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Let me just say this, right? Back to what you were saying, we're over a decade in now, and something that I've noticed of organizations, especially in our immediate proximity, is they come in hard, right? And you see this trajectory of just like this spike.
It's a firecracker
for 3 to 5 years, and then right. So let's talk about that shortly, but this is what I've noticed, right? Thousandaires think in months, millionaires think of years, billionaires think in decades. We know that the game of business is a marathon. We know that, there might be some years where it's like this, right? But there might be some years where it's like, it's downward trajectory. And then there might be some years, right? Our ex-CEO that was here, he said something very important. Again, I learned a lot from the COOs and the CEOs that we've hired over the past. I have. I'm not going to ever deny that. Everyone's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Remember, he said the best type of business trajectory is the one that just does right this, just slow and steady every single year over year, right? And he's absolutely right.
But it takes an immense amount of effort to get it to that point. You know, like the beginning, you have to carry so much. You have to carry a lot of weight. You have to work over hours, a lot of stress, most people do a lot of force during those years of business until they get it into that idle / not idle, but the steady growth.
But even the steady growth still needs maintenance along the way.
Oh, 1,000%. That's when you don't get out of business. That's when people push you out of business if you don't have a steady growth and you don't adapt and you don't have an R&D department.
You know what I was going to say, Sal? I believe that a business that's built to last, a business that has big potential. Now that I've been in business for a long time. Like, right, I was helping someone build their business. That's where you and me met. You were building your ex business, right? I've been in business now over 2 decades, and I feel like a business, because if I go back to the previous corporate job that I had, a business doesn't even begin to find its own identity until probably between year 7 and year 10. Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
They don't even begin to find their own identity until around year 7 to year 10 or year 10.
The irony of that is that most businesses are out of business by that.
97% of businesses are out of business by year 10, yes. Well, why? First of all, they never identified who they are and who they're not. They never found, who they were to the core, core values, right? Their foundation, what they expected out of themselves and their people, right? The driving force, which is literally being able to filter out people that didn't align with the vision and with the mission and with the core values, right? Most people, and you and I, we consult and we help and we coach a lot of companies, and we see the same thing across the entire board, no matter which industry.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, that you're mentioning this, I forgot to even celebrate it. We actually passed our decade mark a few months ago. And we didn't even celebrate it.
We didn't celebrate it?
Yeah, we didn't
Wow.
even.
You guys should
That was July.
kiss or something.
Could celebrate that
Or
in
hug.
Sedona.
Was that
while
June
we're
or
going
July?
next
I
month.
think it was July.
I don't remember.
Okay.
We should
Yeah.
look back. We should look back.
Yeah.
But we should look back. But again, going back to what I was saying, man, yes, 97% of businesses fail within the first 10 years for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what it is? they're unable to weather all the storms that come. There's financial storms, there's personnel storms, right? There's economical storms, things that you don't
Personal
even,
limitation.
personal limitation storms.
Yeah, at the end of the day, those are the businesses that then at some point they
explode.
They explode, but then they
Yeah.
also set themselves for the legacy,
Mhm.
right? You got to get to a point where there's at some point you can be like, okay, now it doesn't matter what happens.
We can weather it.
Yeah, everything's just going to be continued.
We can weather it.
And the ones that the ones that are able to endure the most are ultimately the ones that are there, or else they're just jumping around from new product to new business to new sale to that. That's why you
can
see
tell, bro.
more people
You
doing
can
that.
tell.
The
than-
gold
than
rush.
right now.
The gold rush.
You
Folks.
can tell. I've seen people jump from real estate to crypto, NFT, right? Like I've seen them jump and jump and jump and jump.
And
right?
we're guilty of it too, but the one thing that we never lost track of was the one thing that always got us here.
Yeah.
And that's
the basics.
The basics. So
Yeah.
the fact that you guys were able to continue to keep that organization running, operating,
Even when it was down to bare bones,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Sometimes it was in the red.
yeah.
It was hemorrhaging. But
There was times where you would come in and if one acquisitions manager called off, you had nobody calling your leads.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I feel like we're headed in the right trajectory, and I wanted to get Mr. Zady's feedback on what he has seen. I mean, we've known each other since 2016, right? Back when you used to look like Jesus with the long hair.
Jesus.
And you've had your own business outside of here, and now you're helping us. You got your own stuff going on. What have you seen? You've been with us now for about a year, right? What have you seen?
Just over a year.
Yeah, what have you seen?
I mean, I saw before it was like we were friends, we would all talk. So I knew what was going on. Now I'm like internal and I see. The main thing I've seen is just for you guys, I've said it multiple times. It's like everybody in the organization works as hard as the owners. And if the owners aren't working, it just trickles down from there. But you guys work harder than any other human being I know. And if that is not happening in the organization, it's like you guys get irritated. It's like something is wrong. Something isn't there. And I feel like because of that, anybody who's not aligned with that feels uncomfortable and then gets flushed out. I feel like whoever you are, whatever department you're in, it's all about sales. I mean, I don't care if it's HR, like Hope, she's in sales. She's selling people on coming to the organization to work in here. Everybody is selling something, man. And I like that. I feel like now we're finally at a point where everybody is selling. Everyone is selling something. And we're not selling for us. We're selling to help others. That's the beauty, because everything that we do, if you really look at it, it's helping the person that is buying something. If you're getting coached, well, you're getting coached to go from 50K to 150K. If you're making 150, you're getting coached to make $1 million.
A month?
Yeah.
Got it.
If you're selling your home and our acquisitions reps are talking to you, we don't buy homes from anybody. We look for problems to solve. We solve the problem and we get paid for solving the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just in every aspect of the organization, I feel like everything just trickles down from the top. And I will say this, I'll call you guys out. Sometimes you guys have too big of hearts. Your hearts are way too big. And when somebody shows you that they're not that salesperson or they're not that person, you try to help them find themselves, sometimes at your own detriment. You bring in somebody in the organization and maybe they're just not performing, they're not executing, and you're like, look, you keep throwing them lifeline, and eventually they run out of lifelines, they run out of excuses, and they kind of tap out. It's like a negative and it's a positive at the same way, because it's like you're not just, hey, you're not doing this, get out. You're giving people an opportunity, but sometimes they kind of hurt the organization because of the opportunity you're giving them.
You know, the biggest challenge for most people are, and thank God I never had this issue, and I know Sal's never had this issue for sure. But the biggest challenge for anybody, just in general, when it comes to work, right? If you're working in a corporate job, what's your incentive, right? The hourly rate, but most importantly, how much vacation do I get,
Mm.
right? How much vacation can I earn?
Yeah,
How
what's
much vacation
vacation?
can I stack? And so when you're stuck in a corporate job, you're always looking how to get paid the most by not being there, by not being there, right?
By doing the least.
By doing the least. And what I just see it over and over, and it frustrates me. And this is the kind of the biggest thing that I see is that if you simply just do this one thing, show up every single day. Every single day. It doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter how, if your car's not working. It doesn't matter if
Who's looking.
Who's looking. If
Yeah.
you show up to the job every single day, and just do the work that you're required to do, even at a bare minimum, you will see some success. And that's the biggest thing is people can't even get past that first step, right? Of showing up to work every day, right? America's lazy now. We don't want to show up to work every day. Right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I believe Sal and I do have our own hypnotic rhythm. Right? We
I don't like the word. That hypnotic rhythm is not a good thing.
It
We
is-
have a good rhythm.
okay, it's not hypnotic.
Yeah.
But it kind of is.
How about a vibration?
You know what?
There
You know
you
what's
go.
you know
Take
what's
the
crazy?
vibration.
It's
It's
not.
Napoleon
It's not.
Hill.
It's not hypnotic, but it kind of is because we do subconsciously already move a specific way.
It's a
Well, in
vibe.
the book, at least in the book,
Yeah,
the hypnotic
but I'm
rhythm
telling
is a
you, right?
negative.
It's
Yeah.
subconsciously we move very intentionally, and we move at a certain pace.
Yeah.
Right. And now we move with strategy.
Yes.
I would say. But going back to what he was saying, it's like show up. I did that. I did that for many, many years, for someone else, and I don't regret it.
You used to cash in your vacations.
I used to for over 12 years, right? The first year I earned 1 week vacation. The second year, actually the third year, I earned 2 week vacations, right? The fifth year I earned 4 weeks, actually 3 week vacation. My seventh year, I earned 4 week vacation. And I used to cash them out every single year for 12 years. I cashed out my vacations. I never needed a vacation. Never needed a vacation. Right. And I showed up. I started at my old job as a shift manager, making $10.25 an hour. That's what I started. And I worked my way up all the way to, leadership and being a voice and being one of the top dogs in the company. Right. We helped build that company from like $8 million in annual revenue when I started to $48 million in annual revenue when I left. Right. And again, when I was in there, we didn't get SOPs and we didn't get corporate structure. It's funny, like I'm seeing the same things happen here.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get a corporate headquarters right until like years and years and years later. It was just kind of a free for all. And you know what we did have though in that organization? What he just said. We had A players that showed up every single day. We had A players that took on ownership every single day. Every single day. Proactive people that took on ownership, that ran their respective branches like if it was their own business. That is what we did have.
They had the winning team.
And then what? And what was that?
They had the winning team.
Yeah. And less is more when it comes to building a successful organization. You got to have the right people in the right places, right? And they gotta be willing to endure storms. They got to be willing to endure challenges. Like I can't tell you how many storms and challenges I endured at my old corporate job that I was at for over a decade. We don't have those type of people now, right? It's very difficult to find those type of people in 2024.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like here, I'll give you an example, and I'll use this. Obviously, this is it's a very drastic example, but I'm gonna use it. When I started working there early 2000s when my mom fell into drug addiction. You think I called in a day?
They probably didn't even know about it.
I still showed up. I left my baggage at the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Like I never, when my mom was going through everything she was going through from 05 until the last day I was there, I took that hat off as a son, as a suffering human being, and I put my A player hat on.
But
it was game
let's be
time.
honest, and you know, like I commend you for that. But 99% of people don't know that.
Now, bro, people can't even handle a flat tire these days.
Yeah, okay. So
oh my God!
Forget the flat tire. Let's talk about.
I got a flat tire. I'm calling in.
I have a flat tire.
No. My day is ruined, bro. I just ran out of gas.
You pushed the car. You smelled like gas.
I pushed the car. The little McCann loaner at the Porsche people gave me.
If you guys saw,
I see like you've endured more than that.
If you seen Carlos pushing
I pushed the McCann.
Porsche.
I'm bigger than the McCann. I pushed the car.
It looked like those little yellow and red trikes that you push your kids in.
I can only imagine.
Bro,
but when he came into the office, everybody knew about it, bro. He's like, "Oh my God!"
You know, there is no shame. There is a humbling point.
Did I complain? Did I complain?
You didn't complain, but
like
everyone
gas.
knew.
I smell like gas.
But everyone knew.
Somebody said, my mother-in-law or you were like, don't light up cigar next to you because I was drenched with gas. I was drenched, yeah, because
What did you drive? Oh, you
yeah. My mother-in-law came, got me the thing, and then it was cracked. It was old, like 5 years old, and it was spilling everywhere. So then I had to open it up with the pen, and then figure out a funnel through paper, and then we're just pouring it.
You know what the lesson is?
It was an adventure. It was humbling.
You know what the lesson is?
What's the lesson?
Stop letting people borrow your car. That's what the lesson is.
It was no one borrowed it. He probably didn't see the gas.
No, I know. That was the loaner car that you couldn't.
I get it, bro. It said 19 miles. I took my daughter.
You let people borrow your car. They screwed up, and then you get loaner cars.
Well, that's the
and
thing.
they don't
It's
even
not
pay
your
for
car.
it. Yeah, exactly.
You know. At the end of the day, if you're
19 miles and I ran out of gas.
No, but if when you're driving your car, you've been in this position too. Where you're like,
the
light came on, but
I got 30 miles.
I could still get a little.
He pushed it to the limit.
Yeah, you didn't have
because he didn't know.
So let me try to make the point. I was trying to make the point that you put the the employee hat on, and then you leave the personal hat at the door, right? So most people don't know this, but business owners don't really care. Like your manager, the business owner, your supervisor, they don't really like. Let me break down. I don't mean it in that way. They don't care. They care for you. They probably talk to you, and any good human being will talk to you and try to talk you.
Be empathetic.
Be empathetic, and try to steer you in the right path if you need steering. However, as a manager, as a business owner, as whoever, as a supervisor, they have quotas to hit. And those quotas would result into their families being paid, and like the tribe would eat based on those results. So in a sense, no one really cares. They might be empathetic and they try to be there for you. They talk to you. They might give you a day off. But at the end of the day, they don't really care outside of results, because that's what ultimately keeps the ship going. If you're not rowing and you have too many baggages, you have too many issues, and most people don't even see that. They say, "Oh, I have bad luck." Most people bring luck into this. We attract what we are. Like if we are bad,
we used to attract hooligans.
Yeah, if we don't sleep good at night, we wake up late, we're going to be late all the time. So that's why you have some people are saying, "Oh, I'm late, I can't believe." And you hear the same story throughout the week or throughout the month, throughout the year. Or you have issues happening with their car, or you have financial issues. It's deep rooted into your behavior, your lifestyle. And I'm not saying that there is no luck there. Like there is obviously 1 out of 10 could
to
be
some
luck.
degree,
2 out of 3, 2 out of 10, or 3 out of 10 could be luck, but it can't be all the time. And some of us get the habit of saying, "Well, yeah, it's my luck," or "Yeah, I don't know why. I'm always needing money," or my car is always breaking down," or "I'm always waking up late," or "I'm always sick." It's a pattern that it comes from you, and you want people to care about that. They don't really care. They might feel bad. They might be empathetic about it, but they don't really care about it because 9 out of 10 times it's your own doing. I'm not saying 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10 times is your own undoing or doing. And people fail to recognize that, and they want to put that burden on the business owner, on their manager, or their other team members, because you're bringing your other team members down if you're that person.
Facts, sir.
Yeah, I heard this the other day. There was a guy talking about it. He said the one KPI that businesses kind of tend to overlook is the ratio of A players in their organization.
Oof.
And
hold on.
Yeah, and the people that have a higher ratio of A players are the ones that are more successful. And so think about what we tried to accomplish probably within the last 2 years of how many, we had a solid group of A players, but then we kept bringing people on and bringing people on and bringing people on. And what happens to that ratio?
Diluted it.
It diluted it. So we could have been at like a 60 to 70% of our organization was A players. But every time we hired somebody new that wasn't an A player, then our organization became 15% A players.
We became C players.
And the entire organization was heavily on C players, B players, right? And everybody fits, but when you have that higher ratio of A players in your organization.
But everyone thinks they're an A player.
That's another thing too.
Everyone thinks they're an A player. Everyone thinks they're the best things in sliced bread.
So I got a good
and then
question.
you match them up. You measure them against their production, right? You measure them up against the core values. You measure them
reviews.
up. Yeah, you
So
measure
can
them
you-
up,
can you-
and it's like, wow.
To me, you can't be an A player unless what you're doing is directly related to revenue, right or wrong. This is my opinion. I'm interested. I'm asking.
What do you
Well,
mean?
yeah, I mean, obviously in the business, the revenue is people work for money, and like let's be honest, like, people
Revenue
show
is
up to
always
work,
the number one goal, obviously.
but that's not all.
But it's
all
not
of it.
sustainable.
It can't be as simple as that, and I know that where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
it can't be as simple as that. If it was, everybody would be making money, but it's not. There are so many other factors that you have to throw in there in the blender.
Like what?
Like what people have to be happy. Money is not the only metric for people. Some people.
What about
wanna-
environment?
No, I'm,
They wanna grow.
I'm saying for somebody to be constitute as an A player.
No, I can have a
No.
guy that can. He thinks he's an A player because he's bringing $200,000 a month, him alone.
Right.
But then he's negative. He's a bad apple. He shows up
I see
late.
what you're saying.
He's
Yeah,
setting
yeah.
bad examples. Then
Yeah.
he doesn't even know why he's making this much money. He has no goals, no growth, no aspiration to be better.
You've had a
Why would
lot
I
of
want to?
the-
This
yeah.
guy is not. In his head, he might be an A player, but in reality, he's probably a C player.
Another thing too is like based off of that question that you're asking, if you look at an organization as in its entirety, everybody kind of plays a role in the revenue generating
should.
activities, right? So you can have
Even HR from like, okay,
you can even have a
she
janitor.
has to
that's-
hire.
You can even have a janitor that's an A player, right? A janitor
Explain
that's an
that
A
one.
player.
Yeah, explain that one, please.
Because you start to bring in guests on your podcast and potential relationships that could lead to multi-million-dollar relationships. But what if you go into the restroom and there's piss all over the floor and there's shit stains in the
Oh,
toilet
right.
and the trash is always
It
overflowed?
smells like rotten
Yeah.
bananas.
The first
That-
form standard.
That
That's
could
where
that could be the difference of you gaining that relationship. It's like, I mean, as men, when we were dating, like anytime I had a girl that was going to come over, the first thing that I would do is clean the shit out of my restroom
That's
so she
right.
didn't judge me based off of, the area where because
Yeah.
women do that. Like
so
they'll
you're a deceiver. Got it.
I'm a deceiver. No, I'm willing to get my hands dirty. That's what I am.
As soon as she left,
Right.
you just
As soon
drop
as she
a
left,
bomb
I
in
drop
there.
a
Yeah,
bomb
exactly.
and I'm gone.
Oh my God.
You're the kind of
Open
guy that
that
holds
door
his
and everything
farts.
falls.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
not.
you were holding your farts.
So
Got it.
technically, it's not like a salesman is the only person that can be considered an A player. I think it's everybody from top to bottom, bottom to top that ultimately has to play their
Well,
role.
the janitors, I mean, based on your definition, that janitor is a salesperson too. And their performance is the cleanliness of the office.
Mhm.
If that trash can that I keep dumping stuff into doesn't get cleaned, it's going to stink and it's going to affect everyone's performance, right? So that they're contributing to revenue.
people want to be liked. They sell themselves all day long. right?
I have
Yeah.
I have a big problem, bro, with people that are in positions that like want to manage and tell other people to do stuff and not get their hands dirty. I have a huge problem with that. Like maybe it's just me, but I just feel like that person is a poison eventually because it's not like, for instance, I always say this, but like you're the owner of the company. You're on the phone doing sales calls, bro. So if a manager isn't making sales calls, they don't belong,
That
bro.
is, you know what?
they don't belong.
That's a good point.
If you guys weren't doing that, if this guy isn't locked in his office constantly working all the time, and every time someone throws something on his plate, I've never heard him say, I can't handle that, man. He stops what he's doing. He handles it. Something that would take someone 3 days to do, he does in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
And he
Ah,
laughs
maybe
it off
more
and then he
like-
goes back to
maybe
doing
more
what he's
like
doing.
30.
No, before he does it, he says, "Oh, that's easy."
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah.
So here,
That's
actually,
my favorite shit when Sal says that.
let's turn the gears a little bit, right? Because we were talking about this boot camp situation. We went down the rabbit hole of business because we've obviously experienced a lot of different challenges and growing opportunities, right? That's what challenges are, growing opportunities, right? But this is what I'll say. Over the past 3 months, actually probably even 2 months, right? We, Sal, myself, and thanks to all you guys, we've had the privilege and the honor to consult and coach a demolition company in the real estate space, a build-in design company in the real estate space, a roofing company, which is kind of real estate related, right? Residential. And then several real estate, companies, the Lancionis from Jersey and Turbo Buyers down in Tucson, right?
And some education companies too. That's considered, one of them is considered an education company.
Yes,
The
and an education
contracting
company.
company.
Yeah, so let me just ask Sal this, because Sal and we've developed a good rhythm in identifying the holes in these companies, and then boom, they're just mind blown. Day one, day two, they're like, wow, dude, like you just solved a 10-year problem.
But they come in for that. That's my favorite part, is when I see the light bulb turn on.
Yeah.
They came in, they think, we ask them, what do you expect? So we write down what to expect. Obviously, we give them the intake form.
Their expectations are so minimal, right?
Well, it's not even the minimum. Like, their expectation is so not like when they leave, or the second day when they come for 2 days. The second day, they're like, oh my God, I did not expect this. Like, I'm learning about new things that I didn't even expect to learn this, but that solved the 10 other problems that I thought I couldn't solve. And by putting one thing, it would nip all those.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what's funny, right? Because I always enjoyed this part of those in-office visits. As soon as they come in, they sit down, and you guys spend that entire first day with them. Nobody ever leaves that first day with a smile on their face. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, because they're humbled.
Well, honestly, bro, like I'll give you an example.
And it's not because they were dissatisfied.
No, some of them feel like they just discovered gold. Some of them know that their lives are going to improve.
Well, what I see is they come in confident, like, I got this, man. I'm making X amount. I got this. And then after they walk away, they're like, I don't know anything, bro.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
I'm doing everything
By the way,
wrong.
every single person I just mentioned is doing over 7 figures.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
The demo guy's doing over 7 figures, right? The roofing guy is getting, he's come from the MLM space, so we're not going to count him. He's beginning the roofing journey, but the real estate companies, they've done well over 7 figures.
They said that they thought that a week before they come, they said, "Oh my God, we built our company. It's smooth sailing from now. We're gonna take over." Then in the second day,
both real estate companies, Turbo in Tucson and the
Turbo.
Lancionis.
You know what they said? Yeah. She said that after today, we know nothing. Like, after today, I know what we need to do. Yeah. And a week prior to that, she thought that they were 100%. How funny! That was the light bulb moment I was talking about.
So let me ask you, what major consistent deficiencies do you see across the board when it comes to all of these companies, no matter what industry?
What a great question.
I'll tell you what.
Outside of business acumen, no business acumen.
You know what's crazy, bro? You can, like, I think you and I, we have decades of experience, right? So we're able to spot things very quickly. We're very scientific with it now, right? A lot of those folks they don't have a lot of business acumen, and they're already making 7-figure plus.
Yeah.
Right. So outside of business acumen, because let's be honest, right? Like, they do believe they have some business acumen because they've already surpassed 7 figures in gross revenue.
Yeah. I don't think they know what they want. None of the companies, they know exactly what they want. Example, they don't reverse engineer where their goals are and what those goals look like.
But they don't know what they don't know, though. They don't even know how to think that far out.
But they think of one thing. I want to be a millionaire. I want to make millions.
Yeah.
And thinking that making millions is gonna, by default, is gonna make them happy, or by default they're gonna make a lot of money. They're gonna keep a lot of money, or by default they're gonna have a lot of vacations. But they don't know what they don't know. They don't know the metrics that gets them to those numbers, and those numbers, what they mean. Like, if they arrive to the number that they had in their head, what does that look like? Does that look like you traveling more? What does that look like you buying a different house? They don't know. They just think more is better. And by doing more is better, they're usually so fast. Like, they keep running and running and running in the hamster wheel without really developing new skills, without really trying to do business that leveled up. So a company that does $1 million, like those couple companies that you mentioned, over $1 million, they still do the things that made them $300,000 or $200,000, and they never leveled up. So they have to force their way to $1 million. But you're so stretched now, you can't even break to $2 million or $3 million. You can't do the stuff that made you the $100,000 or $500,000 at $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. Every time you level up, you have to implement new things. You have to have for example, some people don't think they need an HR. I never thought that when I was in the car business.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that, these companies, they have to be so massive to do these things. They have to have a marketing department, to actually market, or take marketing seriously. You have to be like a Walgreens or like a McDonald's or a Pepsi. But we don't really level up as the levels that we need to. And I think that most business owners don't know how to level up according to their business needs.
I compare it to the Marines. You go to the Marines as a man or woman, they destroy you as a man or a woman, and they build you up as a Marine.
As a machine.
Once you leave, you're a Marine for life.
Yeah.
I feel like when people come here, number one thing, you have to be a hustler. You come in as a hustler, you guys destroy the hustler, and you build a business
You're right.
owner.
A light bulb
And
does
they
go
leave
off.
as a business owner.
Were you going to say, Adrian?
Yeah. Oh, you were asking what are some of the things that you kind of see
some
over
major
and over.
deficiencies,
Major
yeah.
deficiencies. And obviously one of the biggest ones that I see is the sales, like the management of the sales team, and then lead management. Like people aren't aware, like the leads don't just continue to come in and at all times at an efficient rate, or just because you touch a lead once, it doesn't go. Like I said, we had some examples where I took a look at a couple different pipelines for some of these people, and I'm like, thanks to Sal, now I can identify. I was like, how do you expect somebody to work a lead properly if you have this bucket and they're supposed to work it all the way down and it never clears out, and you're never shifting it over, and you're never getting it off the plate because it's a long, like there's just a lot of things like that. Or they don't even delegate that sales process, that sales seat properly either.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest things that you guys were able to do very early on, is to delegate that sales seat and giving the responsibility to somebody else to generate the revenue.
That's the hardest part, though. Letting go of the vine, like.
I see this.
But
That's
you
the
know what,
hardest part.
you know that you guys are salespeople when you're talking mainly about sales, but you probably have some viewers are blue collar maybe, and 99% of their skill set is how to do like the operation, how to fix, how to
be technicians.
and then 1% is the business owner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big flaw, because we focus on like, we're good at, like, let's say you're a handyman, like you're a good handyman, like you take pride on fixing that product, or you're a pool guy, you take pride on digging the hole and laying the foundation. I don't
nice, yeah.
It's almost like an ignorance that states that, well, if I just do this thing good enough, people are just going to want to give me work.
They're going to want you to be prepared on the other end. They want to make sure that you take their calls properly. They don't want to hear you digging or fixing an AC unit while taking a sales call, right? You need to structure that. You need to allow yourself to grow. And most people don't think like that.
I see a big entanglement when people come in, right? They have no direction. No, they don't have much support, accountability, structure, right? Like, I'll give you an example of some of the major deficiencies that I see when companies come in for us to consult them and coach them. Their systems and processes are a wreck. Most of the time, there is none, right? Their financials, they're commingled, right? They're not separated. There's no clear kind of transparency and positioning of where they all are, right? Like there's no tax account, there's no reserves account, et cetera, right?
There's no forecasting.
There's no forecasting. There's no, revenue targets, right? There's no reverse engineering those targets. Staffing, non-existent. There's no bullpen. There's no, always be interviewing. There's no hiring process. There's no filtering system before you bring somebody in. Yes, we talked about targets. There is no targets. They're just going to continue to just go and hope for the best, right? They're definitely not tracking anything. There's no tracking. There's no KPIs on the marketing and the sales, and right. They're not also, they don't even know how to read the data in the business, right? The data that the business is giving to them. So to let them know, right? A business wants to succeed, by the way. I want everybody out there to know a business wants to succeed, and it constantly talks to you through the data, right? Hey, our conversion is very unhealthy, right? Help us improve our sales process, right? Hey, marketing is non-existent. We cannot survive off referrals. Yeah. You know what I mean? or they'll try a marketing campaign for 2 weeks or 4 weeks and say this isn't working, right? So those are some of the deficiencies that I see, and it starts at the top. It starts with the operator.
Can I? And if you're listening to this podcast, if you're a person if you're a business owner or you're a hustler, you're starting a business, and your metrics or KPIs that you track is when you log into your bank account and see how much money you have
That's
in that
crazy.
bank account is your metrics. That's you who we're talking about. So I don't know how many business owners they think their business is doing good is based on how much money they have in that bank account that day that they check it. That would be their KPI, their metric. We're doing good. We're not doing good. We're doing good. Oh, we're doing.
People, it's funny. Let's just talk about the real estate companies, right? When they come in, they don't even know what their average deal size. They don't even know what their cost per deal is.
Yeah.
They don't know what their conversion ratio. They don't know their cost per lead.
Yeah.
They don't know any of these metrics that is going to determine if they have a successful, right? A successful, healthy business, or a danger zone, I might not be in business too long type of business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see that time and time
I think
again.
profitability percentage, right? I mean,
They don't even know what their net
talking with
profitability is.
people on the phone, that's the biggest thing. If somebody's like, I know my KPIs, I'm like, oh, what's your cost per lead? They might say that. But then when I hit them with what's your profitability percentage, they have no idea. Zero idea, which goes along to what you're saying.
Most folks,
Hey, I got 50K in the bank. I'm doing well. It's zero, and we're not doing too
like,
well.
no, you're not. You're 1 month away from going out of business.
Yeah.
Because you don't have at least 3 months of reserve, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, right? And you got to work your way there. And we've actually, through the spreadsheets that you've been building for some of these folks, you want to you're not going to instantly just like feed your reserve account.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to gradually get there by putting away a percentage of all the revenue that you're bringing in.
It's not even a reserve account. It's a growth account. The company needs to grow, and that's how you're going to grow, by having that reserve to be able to add more people, to add more resources.
But I said something very important today when I made a post, because Andrea and Mario, right? They're part of the boardroom mastermind, which I have a lot of respect for Ken Clothier. But you have to remember, a mastermind is not going to rip apart the layers, right, piece by piece in your business. It's not. Masterminds are not tailor made.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's generalized, and people are just sharing things that are working or not working. They're not going in there and actually taking care of the root problem of why all these symptoms are happening in your business. That's the one thing that masterminds want to offer. They're part of the Collective Genius Mastermind, right? You know what's funny? I was having a cigar with Mario and Andrea a few nights ago, and they're like, "Hey, Carlos, right? We've determined that we're going to cancel our next trip to the mastermind because we have a lot of work to do now."
Oh, that's a compliment.
What a
compliment.
It's a compliment, right? It's a compliment. So we absolutely love, like, what's the point of knowing all this if you're not able to help others, right? Of course, we want to help ourselves every single day, but if you can't help other people with the information and the knowledge that you have, then I feel like you're doing a disservice to others.
It's what built the brand in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Helping other people win.
Helping other people win, right?
To this day.
And we only did it because people just kept asking and asking and asking, like, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? The first event that we threw, there was no upsell. It was a $5,000.
The first two events we threw,
there was no upsell. There's no coaching. It's like, hey, just learn everything that we're going to teach you. And still to this day, if you come to one of our events, we're still doing the same thing. We're still just
at a much higher level.
At a much higher
10X.
level, giving you everything that you get. Now it's harder for you to understand everything. So it's almost a requirement for you to continue your education, because we dump so much on those event days that people just can't comprehend everything.
We try to compress
once.
10 years into 2 days.
Exactly. And then another thing too that I've noticed as well is that for some people, you always have to be setting your next big goal, right? Your next big goal. I felt a victim to this on a couple different occasions. Right. When I started at Copper Point with you guys, I remember writing it on.
You didn't start at Copper Point. You started at the dealership.
Well, I remember when when we were at Copper Point, because we really started building at Copper Point. When we were at Copper Point, I put $1 million a month on the window in a green Expo marker. I put $1 million a month like that, and I left it there for as long as I could.
In gross revenue.
And that was my goal. And
eventually you hit it.
In December 2017, we hit it. You know what happened after that? December 2021.
2021.
You know what happened after we hit that goal?
What?
I didn't know what the fuck to do.
You didn't have
Why do you
another
gotta
goal.
curse?
Because that's how like important it is for you to continue to set these
You're
goals. With 75 hard, I did 75 hard, and after I completed it, I didn't know what to do.
You almost had a six pack.
Yeah, I didn't know what to
It
do
was
because I
wild.
completed my goal, and that's what goals are meant to do. But if you don't set some people set a goal that is achievable, but they don't
An easy goal.
an easy goal, and maybe they don't believe in themselves that they're going to achieve it in such a quick time frame. So once you achieve that goal, then that's when your company becomes stagnant, and that's when your company becomes
Thank you. Think of all the people that we've helped over the years, right? Right now, I'm specifically thinking of Ben and Sierra, right? Ben and Sierra out of Columbus, Ohio. When Ben came to us, they were already doing some fix and flipping, and Sierra still had a job that was paying her about $200,000 a year, right? And then their goal was for Ben and Sierra to crush this business, and then for Sierra to quit her job in the next 12 months. I said, Sierra, remember that? Over the phone, I said, Sierra, I'm going to help you quit your job in the next 3 months. And she's like, oh my God, that would be amazing, but it's okay if we don't hit that, as long as we hit it within a year. Guess what? We helped her quit her job the first quarter of the next year. Literally under, it was like 3 months, three to 4 months.
Yeah.
Right. And you can reach out to her, Sierra Lindsay and Ben Phillips, right? They're out of Columbus, Ohio. But here it is. Again, how would they have known what they're capable of if they've never done it, right?
You didn't push them.
Yeah. And that's why it's good to hire coaches or get around the right people so that they can see the path they've already been. They're like, here's where you are. Here's where you are. Here's where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
The coaches and mentors that you hire, they're already even past that.
Yeah.
So they already know what the road looks like. They already know the potholes. They already know which turns not to take, right? They know how to get you there, and they know how to bend time.
Oof.
That's what you pay for when you hire a coach
Yeah.
or a mentor or consultants.
And
you pay to bend time. You pay to not have to not have to pay the dumb tax, aka the learning tax,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna spend so much money on the wrong things, on the wrong strategies, on the wrong resources, that if you don't, most people, by the way, if they don't know what they're doing, they're out the game in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And even if they're in the game, the money that they spent making the mistakes, they could have spent half of that having a coach
Half?
to save them time.
I would say way less than half.
Yeah, probably like a
Way less than half.
fourth.
Maybe the people you've coached are spending half.
I don't coach people.
I know,
bro.
I'm just joking. But anyway, yeah, by the way, if you're listening to this and some of this stuff sounds like Chinese, reach out to us, right?
We got a
Where can they
translator.
find
We'll
us?
translate.
allinnation.com.
allinnation.com or DM me the word biz, B-I-Z. If you're listening to this and some of this resonates and it's painful, reach out to us because we're speaking to you too, right? But outside of that, I like where we're headed. Looking forward to the next 30 to 60 days here, right? And yeah, any last words from you guys before we close it out?
Yeah, I got some words for people.
Hit us, Zady.
Don't be ignorant. There's a saying that the man that knows that he knows nothing is the smartest one. I butchered that shit, but essentially what I'm saying is
Successful people know nothing. Unsuccessful people know everything.
Yeah.
There you go.
So if you feel like you know everything and your business is going and you know what you're doing, measure yourself by seeing where you're at, see if somebody else is ahead of you, and then bend time. Find someone who's ahead of you, go talk to them, see if they could bend time for you.
Oof.
Because we could spend money, we'll get it back, but you can never get back your time. The time that you're losing trying to figure it out is gone. And that time could be spent with your kids, your wife, your husband, whoever you are. It could be spent on vacation, but you're spending that time learning something. You're learning, which is great, but you're making mistakes that you don't have to make. You're stepping in potholes that you don't have to step in. You're scraping yourself up. You're breaking a leg. You're breaking an ankle. You're doing all these things that are hurting you, and you're missing that path that has already been laid out. You're trying to reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. The wheel's
Got it.
already been made. You should go to someone
Beautiful.
who knows how to build the wheel and duplicate it.
I'll say this, that you have to not necessarily enjoy the journey, but you have to be willing to endure the journey,
Mm.
right? Because and don't get off too quick, right? Don't give up too quick, because it's inevitable, right? You've watched a superhero movie and you've watched the superhero start off with a nice shiny suit in the beginning, and then by the middle of the climax of the movie, you know, half his mask is ripped off and he's missing like limbs and he's all battered and stuff like that, and it may seem like he's dead and he's down and out and like nothing's gonna happen. But you know, when you walk by faith, we already know what the end is, right? We already know what the end of the story is. It's glorious, right? It's success. And so if you're going through that battle currently and you feel like this is it and this is the last blow that's going to take you out, lean heavy on your faith and just keep pushing through the battle, because you'll come out successful eventually. And God has a special place in heaven for those people that are willing to take on more and endure more at the end of the day, when they're done.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yep. If you had more faith, you would have less anxiety.
And when it's over, you know, you're going to be met at the pearly gates. You're going to be in front of God, and God's going to ask you a question. What did you do with the gifts that I gave you? Make sure you could answer that question.
You're
be
a very
proud of it.
gifted person, Zady.
I hope I'm there when you meet the big guy face to face.
Well, give me another like 80 years.
I want to know what his
happens.
I want to know what Zady's first impression is going to look like.
Me too.
Well, with that being said, if you enjoyed this show and you feel like it's informative, send it to someone that might need to listen to it or watch it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Until next time, stay safe.